When I woke up that morning, I could already tell something was different. The smell of freshly brewed coffee drifted through the house, and a small vase of sunflowers sat on my nightstand. My husband, Ryan, was never one for grand romantic gestures, but he had this quiet, thoughtful way of surprising me when I least expected it. We had been married for 6 years, comfortable, predictable, and, if I was being honest, maybe a little too routine. I loved him deeply, but our lives had become a cycle of work, chores, and TV nights. I didn't expect the spark to completely vanish, but lately, it felt dimmer than before. So, when I noticed a folded note under my coffee cup that morning, I couldn't help but smile. "Pack an overnight bag," it read in his familiar handwriting. "Trust me, you'll love it." I laughed softly, shaking my head. Ryan had mentioned he'd be off work early that day, but I thought nothing of it. Now, my curiosity was awake and running wild. By the time he came home around noon, I was already halfway packed. He grinned when he saw me. "You didn't even ask where we're going." "Nope," I said. "I trust you." He smiled, kissed my forehead, and loaded our bags into the car. The drive out of town was beautiful. Autumn leaves had started to turn, splashing the countryside with fiery oranges and golds. Ryan hummed along to the radio as we left the city behind, and for the first time in months, I felt my shoulders relax. We reached a small wooden cabin tucked among pine trees. The air smelled crisp and earthy, and the view stretched over a peaceful lake. It was perfect. "Ryan, this is beautiful," I whispered as we stepped inside. The cabin was cozy, stone fireplace, plaid blankets, and the faint scent of cedar. "I wanted us to unplug for a couple of days," he said. "No phones, no work, no distractions. Just us." He handed me a small wrapped box. Inside was a charm bracelet with tiny engravings of all the places we'd been together, our honeymoon in Colorado, our first apartment, and even our dog, Bailey. Tears stung my eyes. "Ryan, this is so thoughtful." He smiled. "You've been holding everything together lately, Em. You deserve a break." That night, we cooked dinner together, pasta and garlic bread, and sat by the fire with mugs of cocoa. The warmth and flickering light made everything feel slower, softer. We talked about our dreams, the silly things we missed from our younger days, and how lucky we were to still have each other. Just when I thought the evening couldn't get better, a car pulled up outside. The headlights flashed through the window, and Ryan frowned slightly. "That's weird," he muttered, standing to look outside. A man stepped out, waving cheerfully. "Ryan, man, I finally found the place." "Wait, is that?" I began. "Mark," Ryan called, stepping outside to greet him. Mark was Ryan's old college friend, the one who had moved to Oregon years ago. I hadn't seen him since our wedding. He was the kind of person who could light up any room, always full of stories and laughter. "Sorry to crash your quiet weekend," Mark said, scratching his neck sheepishly. "Ryan mentioned the cabin months ago, and I thought this was next weekend." "My bad." Ryan laughed. "You're fine, buddy. Come on in." I'll admit, I was a little unsure at first. This was supposed to be our romantic escape, after all. But Mark's energy was infectious. Within minutes, we were all laughing like old friends. We spent the evening playing board games, roasting marshmallows, and sharing ridiculous college stories. Mark told us about his travels as a wildlife photographer, and Ryan chimed in with embarrassing stories I hadn't heard before. As I listened, I realized how rare this kind of joy had become in our lives. The laughter, the warmth, it reminded me of the early days of our marriage when everything felt exciting and new. Later, after Mark went to bed in the guest room, I looked at Ryan and smiled. I didn't expect to have company, but this was actually nice. He nodded. "Yeah, it's funny how life works out sometimes." The next morning, we woke up early to watch the sunrise by the lake. The mist hovered over the water, and the sky was painted in soft hues of pink and gold. Mark joined us with coffee, and the three of us sat quietly, appreciating the stillness. He turned to me suddenly. "You know, Emily, you and Ryan are lucky. What you two have, it's rare. Don't take it for granted." His words lingered long after he said them. Sometimes, it takes an outsider to remind you of what's right in front of you. When it was time to leave, we hugged Mark goodbye. "We'll see you soon," Ryan promised. As we drove home, I looked at Ryan and said, "Thank you for all of this." He smiled softly. "For the bracelet or for inviting Mark by accident?" "For both," I said, laughing. It reminded me that life's best moments aren't always the ones we plan. He reached over, took my hand, and squeezed gently. "Exactly. That weekend didn't turn out how I expected, but maybe that was the best part. Sometimes, surprises don't just come in gift boxes or planned weekends. Sometimes, they arrive uninvited, carrying laughter, nostalgia, and a quiet reminder to appreciate what we already have. When we got home, I hung my bracelet beside our wedding photo. Every charm glimmered softly in the light, and I thought of how lucky I was to love someone who still found new ways to surprise me, even when things didn't go as planned. And somewhere deep down, I knew that our spark hadn't dimmed, it had simply been waiting to be reignited.